Guys, we now have an industrial body in India dedicated to artificial intelligence. It's called the Artificial Intelligence Association of India, AIAI. Isn't that a great name? We should have a similar body for all emerging technologies, like for example, blockchain. We should have something called the Bharat Consortium of Blockchain. That's BCBC. No, that's a bad idea. Never mind. We are officially in the last month of 2025, and what a year it has been. A lot of milestones achieved for tech in India. But this episode is about this week in tech India. So let's talk about it. Let's get into the most important news. There is a company called Skyroot Aerospace, which is a startup. It's a space tech startup. Yes, they say they use AI, but more importantly, it's a space tech startup. And this week, Prime Minister Narendra Modi virtually inaugurated two things that are from this company. One is a sprawling new 200,000 square feet campus that's off the coast of Hyderabad, which they say will produce one rocket a month. And second is a satellite called Vikram the First. Vikram dash Roman numeral 1. Yep. This is India's first privately developed orbital rocket designed to launch satellites into low Earth orbit and marking potentially a major milestone for India private space sector. The word private is important there because this is not ISRO and this is not a state company. It's a private company that's building rockets to launch into space. Sounds a lot like Blue Origin, Jeff Bezos' company, which he used to send his new wife and Katy Perry into space. A lot of memes were generated there. Some of the best memes of the year. Anyway, Skyroot is not saying that this rocket is meant for space tourism. They are not saying it's a reusable rocket, but if it is, this could potentially launch India's space tourism industry. What good is it? Not a lot of good for most people. It's helpful for sending billionaires into space because they are bored on Earth. Billionaires should do a masterclass on how to think like a billionaire. I can't even fathom that level of wealth. What do I know? I don't even make money off this channel, to be honest. I just do it for the passion. In other more grounding news, Apple, the iPhone maker, has moved the Delhi High Court to challenge new antitrust laws that allow the Competition Commission of India to calculate fines based on the company's global turnover rather than just its India-specific revenue. There's a new law that enables the CCI, which is a very important industry body in India, to, if they find out that a certain company is engaging in anti-competitive behavior, otherwise known as antitrust in most cases, the company can be fined 10% of its global revenue. Which means that if Apple is found to engage in anti-competitive behavior in India, of course, it can be fined up to $38 billion. So what Apple is challenging is not this new law or the presence of the CCI. It is the fact that you can fine me 10% of my global revenue rather than my India-specific revenue. I mean, it's India-specific revenue. Remember last week that Apple's net profit in India this year alone exceeded 3,000 crores. So that's still a lot of money. But it is interesting why Apple made this challenge in the Delhi High Court. Is it because of course, no company wants to pay a lot of money in fines and penalties, but do they feel like that they are already engaging in behavior that could be called out by the CCI? I think so. This case is scheduled to be heard on December 3rd, with Apple seeking to prevent retrospective application of the new rules and urging the court to limit penalties to its India-specific turnover. If you ask me, I think penalizing a company based on its global turnover is a good thing. Because then you can get into the intricacies where you can pay a really good accountant to make it look like you don't make a lot of money in India, and then you can get away with competitive murder, basically. Other Apple/India related news, Apple, Amazon, and other US tech giants like Meta, Cisco, HP, and Intel have jointly opposed Reliance Jio and Vodafone Idea's demand to allocate the 6 GHz spectrum band for mobile services, including 6G in India. We are already talking about 6G, so let's talk about it. My dog doesn't like this news. Okay, a lot of technicalities. I won't lie, I don't understand most of the technical bit about it. But my biggest takeaway from this and even the previous bit of news is that these big tech American companies are trying to, it's very clear. You know the thing that they call lobbying in the US?
Which I think is a form of bribery.
They think that they can engage in their lobbying practices in India as well, and that's clearly what's happening. Lobbying is not new to India. I remember many years ago, there were these Neera Radia tapes which revealed that some of the biggest companies, not just tech, biggest companies in India have lobbyists on payroll. So this is not new. I guess it's just a reminder of what happens in industry. In news that's not related to this, the Indian government has ordered messaging platforms like WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal, and others to ensure their service can only be used if the user has an active SIM card associated with their account physically present in their device. Under the new rules from the Department of Telecommunication, these apps must be continuously linked to the registered SIM, and access will be blocked if the SIM is removed or deactivated. It includes eSIMs as well. This measure is aimed at curbing cyber fraud and digital impersonation. This directive also mandates that web-based versions such as WhatsApp Webs automatically log out every 6 hours, requiring users to re-authenticate using a QR code. Platforms have 90 days to implement these changes, with compliance reports due within 120 days, and non-compliance may lead to regulatory actions. This rule may affect how we use WhatsApp, but honestly, I think, look, most of us use WhatsApp on our phones. My friends use WhatsApp Web on the occasion that they are too lazy to go and reach for their phone, on the more rare occasion that they are doing something on their laptop and they want to share their screen with me. It may be inconvenience for some, but as a security measure, I think it's a good measure. Because we do have a lot of impersonations going on. It started with Facebook Messenger. It is possible to impersonate a WhatsApp user account, especially if it's not linked to a mobile phone number. So we should all welcome this rule. Other news, particularly about WhatsApp, is that WhatsApp is testing cross-platform integration with my favorite messaging app, Arattai. This potential cross-platform messaging feature may allow users to send messages to people on other apps, including Arattai, without needing to switch apps or install Arattai. I wonder why they're doing this. My immediate reaction was that why is WhatsApp doing this? Even today, as of now, WhatsApp is still arguably the most popular messaging platform in India. Do they feel that they need to do this to retain that lead? I think so. Maybe you should all download Arattai and keep it just in case. They are not sponsoring my videos. I want to make it clear I have no sponsors. This is all my own independent journalism, if you'd like to call it. But I use Arattai now more and more now. It's fun. It's cute. I like it. And honestly, I feel more secure using Arattai, especially with end-to-end encryption that was rolled out last week, because I know my data stays in India, my messages stay in India. That's the primary reason, I'll be honest, of using Arattai with my friends. Adani Group plans to invest up to $5 billion into Google's data center project that's in Visakhapatnam. If you remember, a few weeks back, Google announced a $10 billion investment into Vizag, so it feels like Adani is topping that with a $5 billion investment. So we're going to have a $15 billion investment into a data center project in Visakhapatnam. Nice. By the way, there's some reporting that, the initial amount of the investment commitment from Google was 10 million, but there's some reporting that Google has stopped that to 15 billion. Why is Google putting so much money into India? Is a very obvious question. Of course, they want our data. We went through a lot of news about data centers and AI and telcos and all that. The IPO, the tech IPO wave that I talked about in my previous episodes is not yet over. Meesho, which is billed as India's fastest growing e-commerce platform, is on its way to an IPO, which might happen in the next couple of days actually, as of the date of publishing of this episode. I don't give financial advice, I'm not going to talk more about it. I do think though that there is an India e-commerce bubble that's going to burst. If you count quick commerce as part of e-commerce, you've had a lot of news about quick commerce apps, Instamart, Blinkit, Zepto, and whatever it is. Go back and see my previous episodes. You'll see a lot of news over there. If you combine that with the e-commerce world, I genuinely think that there's a bubble that's going to burst. But again, I don't give financial advice. I'm not going to tell you where to put your money. I certainly won't take your money. But I will take your likes, your comments, your shares, and please subscribe to my channel. Restaurant owner, which is the owner of a restaurant called Tatka Rani in Delhi, has publicly accused Zomato of system-level bias in its rider allocation system, alleging that his restaurant is repeatedly shown as unavailable during peak hours, while nearby outlets within about 50 meters remain open and continue receiving orders. Zomato's delivery CEO responded to that, saying that he's investigating it. I don't know on what level this bias can be incorporated. It feels like a personal attack against this restaurant owner, but if this is true and Zomato is capable of marking certain restaurants as unavailable, it's not a good thing. Because Zomato's promise and Swiggy's promise, and anyway, all of these platforms, their promise to users is that they do not interfere. They just list out things for you to buy. Okay, I'm not comfortable knowing that my favorite restaurant might be unavailable because Zomato doesn't want more people to order from that. I hope it's not true. I'm going to close up with some global news. There is reporting, and I'll tell you why I'm bringing this up very quickly. There is reporting that the US is going to
Permanently pause
immigration from all quote-unquote third world countries. It's a list of 19 countries that include Afghanistan, Chad, Yemen, Cuba, Venezuela, and others. And the administration also announced a review of all green cards by individuals by these countries. The only thing you need to know is that India is not on the list of these 19 countries. I'd be damned if they review green cards held by Indians in the US. Who'll run Silicon Valley then? And who'll become mayor of New York, if not for Indians? Right. Final message from me from this episode before, asking you to like, subscribe, share this video with all your friends and families and aunties, especially aunties, and your neighbors. Please do. But final message for me, and this is on a more personal level, is that we just got through this global phenomenon called Black Friday. I've written about it before. I'm not going to rehash the details. Black Friday is something that was invented in the 60s in the US. It has no cultural significance. It has no spiritual significance. Black Friday encourages you to spend money you potentially don't have to buy things you definitely don't need. I will just leave it at that. Thanks for watching. See you guys next week in what is the final month of the year. Good things are coming. Make sure you subscribe. Peace.